See, this is the problem when I go to an event that I've been wanting to go to for literal years.
That's it. That's my intro.
Hi, I'm Amanda. You're watching Swell Entertainment, and this weekend we are at San Diego Comic-Con, my very first SDCC, an event I've been wanting to come to since I was literally probably 8 or 9 years old, and I'm doing it at 27. Dreams do come true, and sometimes dreams are letdowns. But really quick, let me first tell you about the sponsor for today's video, Squarespace. You know, summer is just that time of year where I'm just full of a ton of creative ideas, and I'm sure you are exactly the same, so why not kickstart those ideas with a website? Squarespace is the all-in-one website design platform to help you stand out and succeed online. Squarespace has a ton of templates if you don't know where to start, and with cutting-edge design, they make it super easy to customize them, streamline or revamp, or even launch your online store offering physical products, services, or digital products. And with their intuitive built-in analytics tool, you can see exactly where your website traffic is and where you can focus engagement. Go to squarespace.com to get started with a free trial, but when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/swellentertainment to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. A few of you that I've talked to already this week are like really bummed that I'm like just kind of meh about this, but overall, I came into this like very really gung-ho, like really excited because like I said, I've been wanting to come to this event for most of my life now. Leading up to this event, everyone I spoke to, I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing San Diego Comic-Con for the first time. Every one of them was like, oh, it sucks. What? Yeah, it's awful. You'll see. Okay. But I was like, you know, I like to form my own conclusions, and you guys don't have to agree with my conclusion. What's been happening a lot this weekend is you guys will see me and the crowds will be too big, so they'll be like, Swell, I like your videos. Okay, bye. And you literally like drift off into the ether of crowd. But sometimes people just yell, you make good reviews. And then I have days like this where I'm like, I don't think they're going to like this review. As I'm filming this, it's Friday. It's Friday night. I've been here for 3 days. I did go to preview night. And some people said like, oh, you got to go to Friday. You got to go to Saturday, whatever. And my original plan was to stay till Saturday. But I am at my breaking point, and I still have to review another convention, not another event this weekend. I'm also doing Warped Tour this weekend, but fully in my planned schedule, my plan was to stay here through Saturday, skip Sunday, because everyone told me if you want to leave Sunday, you totally can, and go Sunday to Warped Tour Long Beach so that I could review both, because I've also never done Warped Tour because my parents were worried about me getting at Warped Tour. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've missed the Warped Tour age of my generation, truly. And so that was my initial plan. And then yesterday happened, and I was like, I'm not going to make it to Saturday. I'm just not going to make it. And it's funny because I've been to events with crazy crowds, but this is just like dumb crowds. Like the word what irritated someone is I said this event makes Anime Expo look well done, which I went to Anime Expo for fun this year and I had a blast, you know. You guys don't get that video because that was just for funsies. I really went with the goal of just having a good time, and then I made some short form content. That was my whole plan with Anime Expo. The crowds are crazy, but like there is like reprieve from those crowds, you know? Here, it's just crowds. And the worst part is the crowds are just also fighting through the crowds to find lines to buy things. There's not a whole lot here to do within the convention itself. There are reserved time slots to shop at the Pop Mart booth at San Diego Comic-Con, and you have to remember to come for your reservation, otherwise you will not get it, apparently. Why have I never come to Comic-Con up until this point? Growing up, never had the money to come to Comic-Con. And then as I did get the money, I was never able to actually get tickets to come to Comic-Con. It's fairly confusing to get tickets to come to Comic-Con, to the point that this year, the only reason I was able to get tickets is I asked my management if they could see if someone would give me tickets, and basically that's what happened. Someone within my management was able to just get me a ticket, a professional badge. So thanks, guys. So I had a professional badge, and the professional badge, the way it was phrased to me, I knew nothing of preview night, chat. I would not have even known to ask for preview night if it weren't for the fact that I had been given a professional badge, and then it said, you also have access to Wednesday on preview night. I would not have even thought to ask for that. Based on what was mentioned in the preview night, I just assumed it was an industry night, which might be my own fault, okay? But like to then walk in to the insanity that is preview night, because it's not a preview night, it's not just like industry or anything like that. It is fully, you can buy access to preview night. That was a good trial by fire because it did prep me for the rest of the weekend, I would say. But it also made me realize, God, I don't want to come back here until I play a role where I get a Funko Pop. Truly, that was deranged, frankly. And I love fandom. I love fanaticism. I love seeing people get excited about things. But some people here fucking nuts. It's a level of frenzy that is fascinating. And then some of the stuff I'm like, okay, I can see why this would be worth it, like fighting in line and things like that, or like waiting in line for hours to get this one thing. But most of the stuff, I'm just like, even for like a con exclusive, I don't think it's worth it. So I ended up going into the preview night in the first wave because my friends were there with a booth, like an actual like booth sponsor. They were with Lego. Okay, Lego did this super cool thing, but they let me go with them to like go through. So though I had access to preview night, I was able to walk in to like be super pushed forward to the front, which was sick. But Lego did like a whole Lego thing. You guys need to give your master builders raises more, because that was crazy. They did the whole outside of the convention center, and then they also did the entire expo hall floor inside of that. Here's me for scale. It's so detailed. They had like their own booth decked out, and then you also could make your own booths and have them placed inside the exhibitor hall for Lego, which is super cool. And they had like little Easter eggs and stuff in there. That was really, really cool. The Lego booth was sick. Okay. And I'm not just saying that because they let me come in front with them. Oh my God. The layers, the wax museum. The layers of the dress are crazy. That looks like it would move. And then I was like, okay, I got to go see as much as possible because my goal with preview night was to get as much footage as possible. And I thought that would be the case because I figured there'd be less people there. It's kind of funny in hindsight because I'm like, yeah, why would I think that? Like, it's so dumb. Overall, the issue with this event with me is that I just had high expectations because I've been wanting to come to this event since I was a child, okay? And that's just the reality of it. I'm thinking this is like an incredible, like, the comic book convention, the Comic-Con nerd fandom event that's going to make you feel like you have, you know, community and all this stuff. And then instead, you're dodging someone's sword hilt to the face. And also you're just watching people be really stupid because they don't realize that you shouldn't stop in the middle of an aisle in front of someone in a wheelchair. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just one of those things where I'm just like, okay, and I don't know if this is one of those things have changed since COVID type of events, because I don't know. But most of my friends that have been post-COVID are the ones that told me, you don't need to go to Comic-Con. Open to suggestions from people who went pre-COVID, you know, if you thought things are different than they are now. Also just one of those things where it's like, I can handle chaos. I've talked about this a lot. This isn't chaotic. This is just dumb packed. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, this is so dumb. And maybe this is like a post-COVID thing because there's a lot of things that I just don't do anymore because of lockdown and things like that. And like the concept of like, yeah, I wore a mask most of this weekend, partially because I'm around too many people to not be masking at most large events, okay? Because I refuse to be a super spreader, okay? I don't care what type of, leftist little wearing mask. Get fucked, bro. I don't care. If it means me not getting sick, fuck it. I don't care. Everyone's always so nice to me too. They're always like, thank you for masking. Like, that's really sweet of you. I am masking solely for selfish reasons. I don't want to get sick. That razor throat variant, oh God, that sounds horrible. I don't want that. Ew. So much of my B-roll is just crowds. That's all it is. And even then, like, there were some things where it's like, I did buy something. I bought an Apothecary Diaries notebook because, like, it was the first time I hadn't seen, like, a shitty keychain from them or, like, a plushie. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And I bought it and it was like $19. I was like, you know what? I know I'll use this. This is fine for me to break my no buy. But overall, my no buy here has been rock solid because even if there's something that you kind of think you want, the line to get it, not worth it if you can even get in the line. But that was my overall goal with preview night, was like, let me just get as much as possible just in case there's other times where like it's going to be crazy the rest of the weekend so I can't film, blah, 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 blah. And then it was crazy at preview night, but everyone is like, don't worry, it gets worse. Why are we here? If you want something, if there's truly like a San Diego Comic-Con preview item or like exclusive item that you really, really want, you got to find a way to get to preview night, baby, because that's going to sell out. Anarchy saw a gem doll that was on sale at one of the booths. More Tomorrow was like the sign on the gem doll, so she was devastated at preview night. And so her and Chris went over first thing in the morning yesterday, and when they got there, there was literally 5 total that they had. So she was able to get one. But that was it, okay? And then today, I had something that I had RSVP'd for Peace Fest. I went to Peace Fest today. That was a 10:45 thing. They invited me because I'm a cool person, I guess. So they went to the con like first thing in the morning, which was really nice because now we have footage like this.
Please walk to your destination.
Peanuts?
Yeah, this is for Peanuts. The con has been open for like 3 minutes. It is 9:03. Look at that. It's 9:03.
They also tried to get up early to go to the Percy Jackson and the Olympians event, because one thing about San Diego Comic-Con is that even if you don't have a badge to the event, there's quite a lot of events nearby in the Gaslamp district and such in San Diego that you can go to or RSVP to and go check out. They wanted to go to the Percy Jackson one, obviously, and that line was cut off at 7:30 a.m. That thing did not open till 10, and they cut the line off at 7:30 a.m. That's been the name of the game this whole time. There was a few things where I was like, that could be cool. I could go check it out. Line's capped. I'm one of those people where it's like, if I can't find parking, I'll leave. You know, like I'm one of those people. So if the line is capped, I'll leave. I'm not going to be one of those people that hovers around a capped line so that in the event it's uncapped, I just jump in. No, I've got better things to do with my time. And that's just me. You might be someone where you're like, no. At the end of this line is the thing that I want. I'm going to make sure I get it. That's cool. I'm not motivated by that right now, and that's okay. We all have different motivations. When I first got my badge, it was handed to me. They were like, oh, do you want anything on the lay of the land? I was like, no, I usually go in pretty blind. That's kind of the whole goal. I know to just not even bother with Hall H. And they were like, oh God, no, don't bother. Don't bother. Hall H is the big panel room where all of the massive announcements get made, like new trailers, new previews, and all of that. If it's in Hall H, good luck. I did go to a few panels. I went to a Miraculous Ladybug panel, and I went to a Robert Kirkman panel for Skybound and all of that, which was cool. Got to see a bunch of cool announcements and stuff just to make sure I could get into a couple of panels. Other than Hall H, pretty much all the other panel rooms are non-clearing. So if there is a panel that's later than the one that's happening right now and you can get into one, just go sit in there. Get yourself a pretzel. The best part about this convention center is that they have Auntie Anne's pretzels. I've had 3. We didn't stay for all of preview night because I was also hungry. And a bummer thing about this event overall within the convention center itself is that, yes, upstairs there are some more food options, but down on the expo hall floor, all you really have for food options are the 2 back, Surfside Cafe, I think it's called, because we're literally right on the water. I'm literally filming this in front of my window so that I can look out at boats and the water will hopefully calm me the fuck down. All right, we are back at the convention center. It is officially Thursday. Hopefully you can hear me. This is good. Just trying to find a way to get in. Okay, this was an easier route to come in because there's very few people over here. I'm inside, but at what cost? Oh, if you can get your badge on Wednesday, even if you don't have preview night, or super early Thursday, I highly recommend it, because if you don't, it'll be a nightmare trying to get your badge, because certain areas of the outside of the convention center are blocked off unless you have a badge. You can't even get close to the doors without your badge. So if you're not in the right spot, if you're not spit out at the right spot of Harbor to walk into right where registration is, good luck, okay? They also blocked off Harbor quite a bit. I'm going to troll you guys. You guys are on an ice bucket, by the way. Isn't that fun? Little behind the scenes look at type of operation we're running here over at Swell Entertainment. Security is shockingly minimal here. Listen, there's something I've noticed, okay? And I've talked about this in a couple of videos. Mostly not this year. I don't think I've ever mentioned it. But the lift on masks at events and COVID restrictions at events, okay, for the last few years has also paralleled a decline in security measures at events that I have personally witnessed. Now, I haven't been to San Diego Comic-Con before, so I don't know if this is normal, but the security measures here that I witnessed were scanning your badge in and going about your day. I need you to understand how for California, this is deranged. I get it. It's a convention. And maybe they're just like, there's too many people, we can't check all bags. But that's the very reason. That coupled with the crowds, there's a certain level of things that my anxiety just doesn't want to deal with, okay? And that's where I am fully like, I'm done. I've pushed my luck enough because I have to think about the worst case scenario. I'm a tiny woman that travels alone all the time. I look at the crowd. If there's a point where I can't physically move and my brain starts spiraling and thinking, what if someone yelled gun right now? I start freaking out and I can't help that. That's my unmedicated anxiety brain. I have decided I'm done today. We're done. It's the best case scenario. We're done. Especially with an event like Comic-Con. Like, I will say the variety of cosplays I have seen, I was genuinely shocked by the minimal cosplays I've seen. I fully expected more cosplays here, frankly, especially because growing up, that was mainly what I consumed coming out of San Diego Comic-Con was the cosplay content from cosplay creators. And so then to come here and see that there are people cosplaying, but it's far less than I would expect. I guess that makes sense considering so much of this event seems to be what exclusives can I get, how much can I get by type of thing, and, you know, potentially wings for like a hot girl cosplay is kind of going to be cumbersome when you're trying to like fight through a line to get like a new release of some sort. Notice how I'm not saying anything determinant for the lines because I don't want anyone to be like, oh, well, you bitch. Really cool cosplays and stuff. Like the ones that I see are very intricate and very hardcore, but it seems like there's, I don't know, it's almost like a perceived barrier to entry for cosplaying at this con in a sense. I'm sure they're here, but like I just haven't seen a ton of like clearly beginner cosplays, if that makes sense. I've seen some, but it's a lot of like hardcore cosplays. This person's been doing it for a decade and you can tell in the craftsmanship. You know what I'm saying? I've been seeing a lot of that. I don't know. I just expected to see more considering that's what I always consumed coming out of Comic-Con. Some of the massive booths that I saw, Pop Mart, don't even bother trying to get a pass at Pop Mart. Pokemon had a cool setup. Didn't make it in there. Star Wars had a massive booth. Nickelodeon had a massive booth for Avatar: The Last Airbender and stuff, and they had some really cool merch options. Line was deranged. There was a few things in there that I was like, I could be tempted, you know? And that's the thing as well, is it's like, even if I wasn't on a no-buy year, the reality is it's like the amount of things that I come to a con for, it's normally not just buying things, you know, like there's things that I would like to do, I want to see, you know, type of thing. Like so much of this con, frankly, if it weren't for the fact that I had very much publicized that I was coming here, I don't know if this would have ended up being a review. I think I probably would have treated this the way that I treat a lot of the horror conventions that I go to. I love going to horror conventions. I don't think I've ever reviewed one for you guys because so many of them turn into sign and buy events where it is just like get signatures from actors in 80s horror movies and buy a bunch of horror stuff. And there's not always a ton of panels and things like that. Now, there's a ton of panels here, so I don't want to knock that. There's sometimes panels at horror events, you know, but overall, it's always just I leave those events feeling pretty meh about the fact, even though like I enjoyed myself, but there's not enough for like a review, if that makes sense. So I just don't review them. Even if I like saw one thing that I thought was cool, like it's usually like there's not enough. And I can see that being the case here where I'm just like, I don't feel like there's enough here overall for me to justify a review. Now I can usually make something out of nothing because I'm an asshole. No. There's more here that I can talk about, obviously, which I'm going to. But like I can see myself not being motivated to make this review if I didn't really feel inclined to because of the fact that I'd said I was going to make this review. That's why I typically don't like announcing my events that I'm going to because there's always the possibility that I leave an event and I'm just like, okay, that's it. Bye. So I accidentally came out over here and I tried to walk that way. That's a no because that's ADA only, which is fine. But that is not, I don't know, I feel like there's a safer way, a better way to do that. I almost got taken out in the face by the sword, so that's cool. Again, the crowds are crazy. It's just one of those things where it's just, it just gets to a point, you know, like it's not like I actively, like again, I made the note about like my brain decides to just be like, what if someone yelled gun? What if someone had a gun? Oh, you know, but like overall, it just gets to a point where it's like, I don't want to be touched right now. Leave me alone. And then there's not much space to sit down. There are some spaces to sit down and there's water fountains in this convention center. I come here mostly for TwitchCon, okay? But like, I don't know, I want to sit down and have no one talk to me, so then I just go to a bathroom stall and I just stand there for a couple of minutes just to get no one to touch me, no one to bump into me for like 5 minutes. I can handle a lot, but at a certain point, I just like, Oh my God, stop touching me, please. I don't know. And like, I saw a lot of cool booths. I talked to a lot of cool vendors, but overall, I'm just kind of like, I could skip this in the future, or I could just plan to come for one day. I don't think I would ever plan to come for like another full convention again. Yesterday, Anarchy and Chris had other things to go do. They just wanted to go take naps, basically. And so I ended up walking the entirety of the exhibit hall floor by myself. I Artist Alley, every single booth, every single one. Zoom. It took me multiple hours, but I did it. And everything that I saw, I'm like, this is cool. I could leave right now, and I think I would be good. I get why this exists. I get why everyone gets excited about it. This is definitely, if you are a hardcore collector, if you are hardcore about your fandoms and things like that, and you think that this is the best place to get those things, I can understand the overall like frenzy around Comic-Con still. And then even then, like I remember Hall H having more of a delay to things being announced. Like I always knew like, oh, Hall H is the big deal. But like I swear to God, it was like I heard people yelling from Hall H about the Percy Jackson the Olympian Season 2 trailer. And then 3 minutes later, it was on Twitter. I get they do that now because they know everyone's just going to post it now. But like still, I'm just like, okay, cool. Thank God I didn't fight for that line. I didn't need to fight for that. That's okay. So I guess Hall H is behind me and I can hear the Percy Jackson trailer playing. That's the panel that's happening right now. All right, some of the auxiliary things I was able to get into because they invited me. Peace Fest. We did Peace Fest today. That was for Peacemaker. The trailer drops tomorrow as I'm recording this. But they basically did like they took over a club out here in San Diego and they did like a 3-story event thing where it was like all the different characters and stuff and some props from the actual movie. And then they had like an 80s cover band come out and do a bunch of songs. And it was very funny because Anarchy, who does a lot of events with various like media companies and stuff, has never experienced an event where they're just actively swearing at you the entire time, because she also has never seen Peacemaker. So I was like, this is really fun for me. I don't get to see you like stressed out. The lead singer at one point goes, 1, 2, fuck you, and then kept going. Let's hear it for the boys, let's hear it for the girls, let's hear it for the lesbians. It was very fun. I had a good time. So second floor, they had merch and stuff. They had drinks. They had a whole thing where if you played Mortal Kombat as Peacemaker, you could enter into winning a PS5. So I might win a PS5. We'll see. I played as Peacemaker. I won 1 game. I lost 2 others, but we're not going to talk about that. That's me being bad at gaming. But on the top floor, they partnered with the American Eagle Foundation and they brought an Eagly. We got to meet Eagly. You guys, I need you to understand how cool this was. I got to get a selfie with an eagle, a famous eagle at that. This is Challenger, okay? This eagle's name is Challenger. He's been with them since like 1989, I believe. He has met like 5 sitting presidents. They didn't tell me this, but I'm 50% certain that this is the eagle that like did that, whatever it was, at Trump, which would be very funny if it did. I met a famous eagle. Many of you can't say that. So thank you to everyone who answered my questions and let me see the eagle, because this is really, really cool. I very much like this. I spent quite a bit of time up here with Eagly, with Challenger, because it was very fun. After that, I went back to the convention center and I went and I walked around a bit more, tried to get in a couple of lines, gave up. I tried for y'all. It wasn't worth it. Tried to see if there's anything else that tickled my fancy. Nothing much, really. It's like some of the freebies here suck. If you're just going to give me a lanyard, don't make me wait in a line. Just saying, like Viz Media, hi. I do a lot for y'all. But the guy handing around like a thing of lanyards and be like, hey, free lanyard? Sure. Okay, cool. Get in line and go take a photo here. No. Absolutely not. I'll sign up for an emailing list. I'll follow you on Instagram. Don't make me get in line for a lanyard. No, thank you. Okay? Absolutely not. Just no. Oh, then I went to Shudder's event offsite, which was Clown in a Cornfield. The Clown in a Cornfield is a movie. I've never done anything with Shudder, I don't believe. I've been to a few premieres with them, I believe. I do have a Shudder subscription, and I do love horror movies, so I was very excited. None of my friends wanted to come with me, because none of them are horror movie pilled. They're missing out, frankly. Clown in a Cornfield was cool because it was quite literally like they had set up like a little town fair type of thing. But to get to that spot, to get to like the after party survivors area, you had to go through a literal like cornfield maze with like a group that was like really dark. And then they had actors in there. That blonde, she needs a raise. She was very good. I think when we got to the end, I was like, she deserves a raise. Because we were moving slowly. We were a big group. And she was like, thanks for not helping. As we're trying not to get murdered by clowns. It was very fun. I appreciate it. Okay, so there's the FX stuff. I think that's the alien thing. Yeah, it is. Okay, I know I'm not gonna get into that. And then I just kind of want to walk by this stuff back here. So there's Adult Swim over here. Not gonna make it in there. And there's Brawl Stars and the Abbott Elementary thing over there. Also not gonna make it in. A lot of these things that were on the other side of the train tracks by the convention center is where a lot of these freebies and events were happening, and you could like get in line for those, but those were also events that a lot of people were lining up for. Oh, I also went to the Her Universe fashion show because Anarchy and Chris got invited, and they were like, can we bring her? And they said yes. That was cool. Everyone's very talented. That's very cool. I've heard of the Her Universe fashion show for years, so that was very cool to actually go and see it. I love seeing like cosplay meets fashion, fandom meets fashion, and all of that in this regard in a full fashion show setting. Very cool.
I'm fairly certain that's just embezzlement.
It probably.
Yeah.
Maybe if I wasn't on a no-buy year and I was like more willing to whip my credit card out for any little thing that was like lots of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff, I'll give you that. You guys almost had me there. But my boys will wait for me for the end of my no-buy year. And I know that. I know they don't want me being broke. And even then, like I said, even if there was something where I was like, oh, this is super sick, I want this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing, the line was deranged. So again, I was like, okay, this is like, they also don't want me to waste my time, you know? My boys understand. Even when I'm not doing a no-buy year, I need to be more realistic about buying prints and things like that, because I just don't have the space to put up prints in my apartment. And I just have a habit of buying them because I'm like, this is cool. And then I'm like, why did I buy this? I don't know where I'm going to put it. So I have to stop buying prints. I don't know. It's interesting because like even some of the people that I spoke to where I was like, yeah, this is deranged for the crowds and things like that. And then like I said, I brought up like Anime Expo and things like that. And it's like, okay, yeah, but like the Artist Alley and the Oxygen one year. And it's like, I'll give Comic-Con this. They're blasting the AC in that expo hall. I brought my sweater with me most of those days because even if it's crowded, I was cold. So I'll give them that. I've also been very critical of Anime Expo before, but like at least there's things to do. It was interesting because a lot of the booths that were at Anime Expo, because Anime Expo was earlier this month, a lot of them had the same stuff as here. And that's also the problem with my job, with me doing all these events, is especially with artist alleys and certain booths, at a certain point you see one booth set up, you see it all, which like for booth designs, it makes sense because I've always said like if you invest in the right type of booth setup for the year, you can use it all year long and it'll work at multiple different venues and things like that. Crunchyroll's booth was just slightly different than what it was at Anime Expo. Much smaller of a space, obviously, but certain bits of it I could tell was repurposed, which is the smart thing to do. But the same thing goes with then products that are available. A lot of it is split between, from what I saw, the same stuff that was at Anime Expo versus here. Overall, would I do this again? Yes, if I was in a project that got me a Funko Pop, I think is probably where I'm looking at it. If there was something that I was in where it's like, come back, type of thing. Because, just as like an attendee experience, this is not what I want for myself. Anime Expo was very fun for me to go on. The whole point of this video was not to compare Anime Expo to Comic-Con. I was just trying to make the comparison of like for myself as an attendee. Like I went to Anime Expo with the goal of just being an attendee this year and having fun. And that was really fun. I can't see myself doing that here. I just don't think so. I can see myself coming to San Diego and like doing some of the other outdoor venues, but the concept of trying to get a Comic-Con badge, again, just for funsies, not for me. And that's okay. I do feel like little 8-year-old Amanda is a little sad, which might be why I'm a little bit harsh today, because I do feel like this is a bummer. But that's the problem. This is why I don't like doing a ton of research on events beforehand, because I don't like having like a preconceived thing in my brain about them. And again, if you guys are at Comic-Con this year and you're watching this and you're like, Swell's wrong, this was the best year ever, how dare she's a lying bitch or whatever, congratulations, you won. You had a better time than I did. That should always be the goal. It's the same thing with a movie. If there's a movie I watched that I hated that you loved, you won. You had a better time. That's okay. This is my own experience. This was a lot. And I don't think it was worth that much for myself, and that's okay. We're allowed to admit that. Comic-Con, I don't have a recommendation, really. Thank you for the Cranked AC. Cap attendance by half, but then even then, it's already very hard to get in here, so it's like not worth it. I don't even see a point in capping attendance at this point. If you want to buy something, come early. Like seriously, like you want to be at rope drop. I'm not even kidding. Can you guys start doing security? Like just for my own peace of mind, even if I never come back again. Anyways, that's going to be it. Did you go to Comic-Con? Have you ever been to Comic-Con? Do you think Comic-Con was better pre-lockdown? Do you think that this is just an instance of, you know, a buy stuff con and then wait in line con? Let me know. Comment down below. Reminder, I stream on Twitch. My Swell Entertainment is now available on Spotify. Reminder to check out Girly Pop Go if you'd like to see car and motorsport content from me. Shout out to my channel members. If you'd like to join me on channel memberships, you can click join down below. If you'd like to follow me on social media, that'll be all up here. And that's going to be it. Have a lovely day. Goodbye. I don't know. I like the people that just keep handing me comic books whenever I walk around outside. That's really fun.